I figured I would do a video on this. I want to do actually two reaction videos on Chris Logic. I have to actually because I have to explain something in the past. But I figured since I came across this video, I was gonna do a reaction on her video here, and then I'll do a reaction on the other video. And I don't think either of these are going to be negative videos on Chris Logic. So, Chris Logic haters, you guys might be mad at me. I don't really care. You know me, I go however I feel. So, let's see how it goes.
Can you guys hear me? Am I audible? Let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm waiting for comments saying that y'all can hear me. Are you guys able to hear me? Okay, Bella in the chat said yes. Lilith's daughter said yes, we can. Okay, awesome. You guys can hear me. Perfect. I'm so sorry, guys, that I'm late, but my next door neighbors are the freaking worst. Like, these people play loud music every single day, morning till night. Like, I just had to call the cops on them, y'all. I literally had to call the cops for noise control. Like, I'm typically not one of those people that will just call the cops for something like this, but it's ridiculous. I've yelled out the window. I've told them to stop, turn it down, but they just don't listen. So if you hear any background noise, please excuse the situation, okay? I'm really irked right now. But we're going to get on to this show anyway. So how are you guys this Friday doing? How's everybody's Friday? My Friday is pretty good. I mean, I can't complain other than the noise. But for those of you guys who reached out to me or commented, yes, I know that I'm not consistent as I should be on this channel. And I do know that I do need to be putting out more content for you guys, but you guys do have to understand your girl is in her last semester at college, okay? And I did the most dumb thing you could possibly think of. I literally saved all the hardest classes for last. So I'm taking like my hardest classes right now. School is currently kicking my bum. I recently had COVID. I'm coming down with COVID. And y'all, I do all my own research, all my own filming, my own.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I know, like, people were saying, like, where did she go and stuff. I've noticed inconsistency before the whole Jessica X situation. So that's why I don't actually blame her for her inconsistency, because she's shown that she's had inconsistency for a long time. Going forward.
Editing, I do my content all by myself, no help. And it takes a lot of time to get out content for you guys. So I'm sorry if I'm not as consistent as I should be or as consistent as I once was. I definitely will try to improve, especially now I'm on spring break. So it should be a lot more easy for me to get out content for you guys, okay? But yes, that's enough of this long behind intro. Let's get straight into the meat and the potatoes of this video, okay? So, why does everyone have such a problem with Black women divesting and the divestment platforms made for Black women, right? Why does everyone seem to have a problem with this? Even other Black women in the BWE space that are supposed to be here to uplift and empower Black women. So I got a super chat. Let me read the super chat before we get into this conversation. Psychori Kanda17 sent $2 and they said, don't feel bad. I did the same thing too. Yes, these people are the absolute worst. And I don't feel bad. Like, I hope the cops go over there and shut what they got going on down because it's freaking really ridiculous. But yes, thank you so much, Psychora Candy 17 for the $2 super chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, but let's get right back into this content. So why does everyone have a problem with Black women divesting and Black female divestment platforms, even other Black women in the BWE sector, right? So recently, I've been seeing Black women in the BWE sector on YouTube. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what BWE means, it actually stands for Black Women Empowerment, right?
Yeah, but half the time it's not really black women empowerment because these same black women will come after other black women for just thinking that the background of their videos looks a little shaggy or something. I mean, like something silly, like they don't agree with them on some small issue. Like they don't like the nail polish they're wearing. Oh, they're going to drag them now. So, yeah, it's not really empowerment. But, yeah, that's what some people claim it is.
And this sector on YouTube has many fractions. It has many different schools of thoughts, like level up and femininity channels for Black women, colorism channels, divestment channels, channels dedicated to exposing Black men and their pathology, right? Channels dedicated to Black crime stories, Black femicide.
The one that focuses on pathology, though, honestly, it's just going over their own pathology, but that's just my perspective. Go ahead.
All of that is under the umbrella of BWE, Black Women Empowerment, and the overarching theme is to empower, uplift, and to help Black women, right? So that's the overarching theme and the premise of the BWE movement. So I've been seeing recently that Black women in that sector have been calling out divested Black women and have had a huge problem with us recently. Now, typically, I wouldn't even be addressing these critiques that are so gaslighting and willfully ignorant. But because these critiques are actually coming from other Black women in the BWE sector, I do want to respond because I feel like since it's coming from them, it does deserve a response, okay? I just got a $5 super chat. Let me read that real quick. Percy, rent is too damn high, sent $5, and he said, congrats on college. War is your major love. What's graduation gift can I give you? New car, new house, new love. LOL. Thank you so much, Percy, for the $5 super chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so back to what I was saying. These women have been calling out Black women, and I feel like it's very problematic the things that these Black women in the BWE sector have been saying to their audience. I feel like they're definitely spreading propaganda and misinformation when it comes to divested Black women. So I feel like I would be remiss to not address some of the things that these women that I actually respect and look up to have been saying, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out four of the most common criticism and critiques made about divested Black women that I have been seeing and that I feel like are the most problematic. So, okay. And oh, disclaimer, this is not meant to be a shady video. I respect all the women in this space. This is not shade. If you know who some of the women are that I'm referring to, please refrain from commenting their name in the chat as much as possible, guys. I would really appreciate.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I don't mention anyone even in this video on Chris Logic. She is, I must say, I guess I give props to Chris Logic because she does seem very unmessy in some regards, which I appreciate. Anyway, going further, at least in this space.
That this is not a beef video. This is not meant to be drama or start drama or anything like that. This is just me calling out some points of contention that I just do not agree with when it comes to what these women have been saying about divested Black women as of late, okay? So yeah, let's not get it twisted. This is not meant to be a beefing type of video, but let's get right into it. So the first criticism that I've been seeing about Black women, divested Black women, and probably the most dangerous and gaslighting criticism of them all is that divested Black women and Black female divestment content creators are putting a target on the backs of Black women by Black men because we go too hard on the nakers and we call them too many names, right? So these women, these BWE content creators are actually saying that divested Black women go so hard at Black men, and that's why these degenerate thugs are taking out Black women at a higher rates, right? That's why Black femicide is going up. That's why all these things are happening because Black divested women, right, are putting a target on Black women's back by telling.
Usually, there. hurting women that actually like them, right? Who gave them the time of day. I mean, there are situations where, violence happens with rejection and things of that nature, but usually it's women who actually try to start a life with these people, try to make a relationship out of a toxic situation. But yeah, going further.
Them to divest. That's the talking point. I just got a super chat, guys. Miss W sent 1999 and she said, think it's because of black male worship. It runs deep in the black community. Black women been socialized to stay loyal to black men regardless of the treatment we get. But the tide is changing. Black women are expanding their options and people are shook. Absolutely, Miss W. Thank you so much for the 1999 super chat first and foremost. And absolutely, the black male worship does go deep. Even with some content creators that I really did used to look up to and really did used to respect, I feel like there's still a little bit of black male worship that they have yet to address in their rhetoric, especially with how hard they go at divested black women sometimes. So I definitely.
When someone is not divested, they are worshiping. Do you not understand that? That's the case. If they aren't divested, if they aren't completely not into black men, they are worshiping to some extent or another. People never pay attention to that. That's why they'll say, oh, we're not black male worshipers. Yes, you are. You are with black men, and therefore you are a worshiper. You just claim to not lean into it as much as someone else. Basically, what you mean to say is that you are someone who doesn't lean into it and doesn't voice how much you worship black men. And sometimes I think these people actually worship black men more than the people they claim are black male worshippers, because all throughout the whole criticism that they use against black men in many cases, they still love black men very much. Their love runs so deep, and so their worship runs so deep.
Definitely agree, Miss W. Thank you so much for the 1999 super chat. I really appreciate that, right? But yes, these black women content creators are actually accusing black women, divested black women, of putting a target on the backs of black women at the hands of black men because of how hard we're going at them, right? Now, first of all, not only is this statistically incorrect, this is just willfully ignorant on the parts of these women who know the stats. When you look at the crime stats that plague black women, it says 92% of the times black women are being taken out by black men. 80+% of the times it's black men that they actually know, and out of those times it's black men that they were actually in relationships with, right? So most of these black women losing their lives, in contrast to what these content creators are saying, are not black women that are being targeted because they're divesters. Exactly. Or because some dusty watched a divestment channel and got upset and decided he was going to go target a random black woman. A random black woman. Most of these black women are actually being taken out by the men that they are sleeping with. They are opening their legs to. They are bringing around their children, etc., etc. So that's the first point. It statistically is inaccurate. Statistically, what they're saying is a fallacy, and it does not hold water when we look at the stats. Number two, these women are the same women that actually still promote for black women to date black men, right? For black women to entertain black men, because according to them, not all black men are bad, and you're supposed to be trying to pick the right black man for the job or the right man for the job despite their skin color, right? So these women that promote for black women to go into the arms of their attackers, the men that are 30 to 50% more likely to domestically abuse them, the men that are 3 times more likely to kill them during domestic violence situations, the men that have proven to be the most violent with every single race of women that he entertains, those men that these women promote for you to go try to find the unicorn in, right? Oh, unicorn black men do exist. Oh, it's not all, it's not all. You can still sleep with black men and be woke, blah, 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 blah. These are the women, the same women now accusing divested black women of putting a target on the backs of everyday black women.
And the truth is, the main ones putting a target on black women's backs are those women, obviously. They're encouraging them to sift through men who have obviously, by statistics, basically ended their lives at a larger level than anyone else. And they're saying, take a chance on all those men, basically to hopefully find the one who won't do that, who won't physically abuse them or end their lives. It seems like they're just trying to deflect from what they're doing.
Making them more out safe in these streets, right? It's us and not them that are still encouraging these black women to date black men, aka their attackers. So once again, doesn't quite make a lot of sense when you look at it like that, from that perspective. Let me see what some of the chats are saying. Right, Chris, that's crazy, right, Miss W? A nigger would break your jaw if you just as much as raise your voice. Absolutely, Yin. They are dumb. Well, you know what? You said it, not me, right? So that's the first criticism. You see a lot of these women that actually promote for black women to still date black men, actually trying to call out divesters for putting black women, everyday black women, at risk. It doesn't make much sense when you consider what they promote on their platform, number one, right? Number two, the criticism doesn't even hold water when you look at the content creator that it's coming from. Now, I'm not going to say any names because, like I said, this is not a diss video. This is not meant to bash anybody, so I'm going to refrain from using any names. But this content creator was once upon a time linked to a black manosphere content creator, right? A black male on YouTube who does manosphere content. And one of this black male subscribers actually took the demonic teachings of this black male manosphere content creator so seriously that he decided he was going to go into his high school and take the lives of one of the girls. No, they were not in a relationship. He didn't really even know her like that. She was just a beautiful black girl that went to school with, that he went to school with, that he probably had no chance in hell with, right? He decided that because of the teachings of this black male content creator, the same one that the black female content creator who's calling out divesters was cool with, right? Because of his teachings, that black male subscriber ended up taking the life of a black woman. And the content creator, the black female BWE content creator, now calling out divested black women, she got a lot of backlash for associating with that content creator. They're like, why would you associate with manosphere content creator that spew this type of negative?
Because in reality, that content creator doesn't like black women anyway. So it really doesn't seem like it would affect her that happened, because she's not concerned with other black women. She's only concerned with herself.
And harmful rhetoric about black women, and she faced a lot of backlash with that. Now, this is in no way me trying to accuse her or blame her for what happened or saying that she was at fault. I just find it quite ironic that the same woman that tried so hard to disassociate herself from something like that is now the same woman accusing divested black women of putting a target on the backs of everyday black women when she has that type of history, right? It really is the pot calling the kettle black. Okay, is that how the saying go? Yes, the pot calling the kettle black. If you ask me, it makes absolutely no damn sense if you ask me. But yeah, let's move on to this second critique, guys. So I actually wrote down some of these critiques so I'm not all over the place, right?
I think it's actually the kettle calling the pot, right? Because isn't the kettle darker than the pot? I thought. I don't know.
So critique number 2, divested black women make ourselves look too easy and too available for non-black men, and that's going to cause non-black men to actually take advantage of black women, right? So that's criticism number 2. Now, this criticism...
honestly, with that whole situation, I think that honestly, I feel like it depends on the channel. Some channels are um, making it where they basically all they focus on is black men, and they basically paint a picture of all white men are better than black men, and as if things aren't problematic with white men because they don't mention that there's white smoke. So, I mean, to me, it's just like, some do set up black women and the image of black women, and for basically viewers in general to view black women as desperate for basically any white man because they constantly focus on black men being the lesser man, but basically act like all white men are basically on equal footing. But this is not all divesters, though. This is, I feel, more so swirlers than divesters. And I feel like divesters are more likely to be more selective and actually vet properly.
In my opinion, does not make sense because you literally have the majority of black females who are mammies out here protesting, whether that's in the government, they're fighting, they're on the front lines fighting, they're in documentaries fighting for black men, right? You have black female mammies that are constantly out here on the internet, out here on TikTok, out here in real life, professing their love, even on TikTok, for black men, talking about how they'd rather go blind, how they'd rather die before they ever get with anyone other than a black man, right? Even Nicki Minaj. I wonder if you guys want a video about that. Comment that down below if y'all would like me to make a video about the Nicki Minaj situation, or do you guys have enough of people talking about that? But yeah, even with the Nicki Minaj situation, she was just on the Joe Budden podcast talking about some dear black men. I love you guys. You guys never got to be a kid. You guys never got to be coddled. You guys never got to be hugged and loved, even though the black community coddles and infantizes black men the most. The most. And it's actually black women who have to bear the brunt of all the relationships, not the relationship. So what am I trying to say? It's actually black women that have to bear the brunt of all the burdens, all the responsibilities, right? We go through all the hardships. We have everything on the black community placed onto our backs, and black men are oftentimes infantized. They're oftentimes coddled. They're oftentimes told that it's not their fault. They're not to blame. You have Nicki Minaj out here talking about some dear black men. We need to coddle and we need to victimize these men even more, right? So you have black women out here constantly, and I'm talking about constantly, man stroking black men every single time that we look. But yet this content creator wants you to believe that it's divested black women that are now making the majority of black women look like they are thirsty for for non-black men. Tell me, look at the black community, look at black women as a whole. Do we look like a group of women that are thirsty for non-black men? Or do we look like a group of women that are so thirsty for black men and are so willing to manstroke them that we actually publicly go out and profess our love for men who publicly disgrace us, who publicly embarrass us, and who tell us along with the world that they don't like us, they're not attracted to us, etc., etc. These women are making the argument that it's us divested black women making the majority of black women look easy, right? And look like an easy target for non-black men. Once again, statistically, it makes no sense. The math is just not mathing. Also, these are the same exact black women that constantly sit around on their platform and talk about the BBC, y'all. These women will tell you how black men got the best D's. Black men got that good BBC, okay? The reason why they keep dealing with black men is because the only thing they're good for is their D's and all that other stuff. These women have a history of saying stuff like this, right? And this is not just one woman in particular. These are several of them, right, who say stuff like this, but will criticize divested black women for man-stroking non-black men because we actually acknowledge our real attackers, which are black men, and we call them out. We say their names. We don't, play any of the sugary games. We call out black men. So that equates to us man-stroking black men when you're constantly talking about black men's D, how they got the best D, when black men are not out here saying black women have the best WAP, right? I've never heard black men say that black women have the best WAP, black women have the best sex game. I've never heard that. I've actually heard that say that about non-black women, right? I've heard that say that about Spanish women, white women, all that. I've never heard that come out of a black man's mouth, but these women constantly say that about black men, which is a huge form of man stroking, but yet they accuse divested black women of doing what they constantly do on their platform. Once again, it's very disingenuous. It's the pot calling the kettle black, and it makes...
No, it's not, because think of it this way. There's an image of black women who like black men, but what about the image of black women who like men of other races, who prefer other races? Okay, so there's so many different layers to this. For example, there's women who like other races of men and they like black men too. Then there's women who like only men of other races, but we express it different ways. For example, there's those of us who basically, will voice that they only prefer basically white men over black men because of how they basically behave, and they basically act like white men are basically better than black men. You have to think, some people will think that when someone acts like white people are better than black people, then they've basically put the black woman, that black woman has put herself underneath white people. So that's why they say that basically they present black women as if they are wishing to be with any white man. And it really does make black women look badly when that is the presentation. But I think most divestors know not to do that, not to present themselves that way in real life. You can have certain beliefs, even if you do hold those beliefs that black men are less than white men, even black people for that matter. The thing is you don't express it. Say, like, for example, oh yeah, we're not supposed to name individuals. Well, there's this content creator who, she says some things about black men, but she specifically says, in real life and things of that nature, that black women should not carry themselves as if to express that black men were less than white men. No matter if we prefer black men or if we prefer white men, for that matter. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead further.
No sense, right? So I'm very disappointed in these black women for even trying to make this point that, in my opinion, is just so disingenuous and willfully ignorant. Now, the third criticism is that divested black women are a hate group, y'all. These women are calling us a hate group. Now, before I get into the third point, let me read off this super chat. We have Leilana XXX. Hey, girl. Leilana XXX sent $9.99, and she said, it's promoted so heavily to divest, but at the same time, the divested are treated as the ugly stepchild. Exactly. The divested are always dragged and constantly used as folder in the BWE sector. Absolutely. It's so popular, and that's going to be another talking point that I get to. It's so popular to use talking points of divested black women. It's so popular to, say what we say, to bring up black femicide, bring up the crime stats. But these women will then go and disparage black women for actually wanting to divest, accuse us of deifying non-black men when they deify black men. Like, it's also hypocritical, the type of hate that these women have for divested black women, but yet and still they use our talking points. Like, what is with that? And I'm not saying that they can't use our talking points. I feel like we all piggyback off of each other in some regard to some
No, it's because mammies usually have an issue with they tend to have an issue with black women who are not into black men, because the problem is many of these people have a view of black men as being lesser. So then when they feel like other women don't want black men, they feel like they want a lesser man, and then they feel like they're a lesser valued woman. So of course they will lash out at black women who don't prefer black men, and they will lash out at us no matter if we attack black men and call them some of the terms that people call them is like apes or like nakers or whatever, or if we don't do that. If we are the type who, don't disrespect black men in that way, and we don't see them as animals or whatever the N word is. It's not even actually a real thing. But, you know, even if we are one of those people who don't go calling black men all those types of names, they're still going to basically dislike the fact that we prefer other races of men and say that we worship other races of men simply because we will never consider black men for personal relationships. Because that's just our preference. We don't have a preference towards black men for whatever reason it is.
Respect, but these women constantly use divested black women's talking points while simultaneously trying to call us out. Like, where they do that at? So yes, Leilana XXS, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat, and I definitely agree with that. But yes, as far as the third criticism that I've been seeing, divested black women are a hate group, right? Now, these women say this, like just like Leilana XXX said, they say this while they use divested black women's talking points, right? They just add some sugar and some sprinkle on top of it. They don't curse as much, but yet and still they look down on divested black women. They call us a hate group. They call us ghetto. They call us ratchet. They call us Blackistan. They accuse us of being, undesirable. Or, they couldn't get a black man, blah, 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 blah. They say all this awful stuff about us while using the exact same.
And that's a major thing, especially about the whole part about saying that divestors are undesirable or unwanted by black men and things of that nature. They are trying to create value for themselves, but they are the same ones who will try to claim that black men have no value. So it's like, to me, it's like they seem like an insecure bunch, basically. They're the type who is obviously not for empowering black women, because if they were empowering black women, why are you saying that black women are undesirable and have no value and pushing yourself up? But at the same time, you're saying that you have to have value to be with a black man, but at the same time that black man has no value. And the reason they're doing this is because if you think of it, it's a psychological game that they're trying to play with black men, one, and then also it basically shows how insecure they feel with black women in general. So you can see that they're playing games and they're trying to be manipulative to black men. And also, they are trying to take other black women down because they feel like an inferior woman. They feel like an insecure woman. They are an insecure woman. And because of that, they need to take other black women down. And because of that, they need to manipulate other black men and try to bully black men into staying with them. That's their whole method of the way they think, basically, and their whole strategy. See, they're not truly divested. They're not truly into divesting. Some of them actually use it to blackmail black men. It's not really something they really consider long term. It's not really a part of their life. It's not really a part of their preference. It's just a tool they use.
talking points that we use, right? But just because they sugar it up a little bit, they don't call the nakers as many names as we call them. They think that they're somehow better, right? And they do this while simultaneously still sleeping with the men that they complain about. They think that that makes them better. And because we actually are about what we talk about, we don't just complain about these men, we divest from them. So because we're about what we say we're about, we are now a hate group. And they are not. They are the truth. They are the real woke ones. And we divested Black women that actually do what we talk about. We're the hate group. That's number one. Number two, I don't actually mind being called a hate group. Like, am I not supposed to hate the men that attack me? Am I not supposed to hate my attackers? Am I supposed to love them? Okay, this ain't love thy neighbors. They are not my neighbors. They are my attackers. So these women calling me a hate group and saying that divested Black women were part of some hate group, that does not offend me. I'm not here.
I don't hate Black men, for sure. Sometimes I think that Black men, the criminalized ones, are definitely scary, and they should be handled properly. But I really blame the penal system for this because they don't keep them in prison like they need to. I do have a conservative perspective on those issues, but yeah, to me it's just like I don't hate them. I just think that some of them are scary, but, that's basically it. Going further.
To like and coddle my attackers. You calling me a hate group does not offend me at all. I don't think this really offends most Black women. It's just really tragic that once again these women will use the talking points, they'll use the crime statistics while simultaneously sleeping with Black men and then condemning Black women who actually don't sleep with the men who they say are attacking them. It's very stupid. It's very silly, right? And it's quite ironic. So that is the third talking point. And then the last.
The fact that they sleep with Black men, be it rainbow swirlers or mammies for that matter, the reason they do this is because it tells you the whole story of what they're doing. It tells you this is why they are, talking about Black men the way they are. But also, it tells you why they are basically sleeping with Black men. It all comes together. It's all connected together. They're not separate.
Last talking point and the last criticism that I've been seeing. And then after that, guys, I'm going to open the phone lines, let you guys call in, give me your opinions. Let me know if you agree with some of the criticisms that these women have been giving about divested Black women, or let me know if you want to piggyback off of something I said when it came to debunking their criticism. So yes, I'm going to open up the phone lines and I'm going to be accepting callers in a little bit. But the fourth talking point is that Black women, divested Black women, are all old, we're bitter, we're unattractive baby mamas who can't get Black men. And that's the real issue, right? That is the real issue. We're unattractive. We couldn't get the Black men that we wanted to get.
This whole stereotype is so weird to me because it's like it's under the idea that we were involved with Black men, and it's like, okay, if that's the case, then don't we have some kind of attraction or interest in Black men? Don't we like Black men to some extent? Somewhere deep down, I mean, and it's probably not that deep down. If it took you to old age and to become a baby mama, to be a divester, then really, is it really divestment, or is it just burned from a past lover? I tend to think it's the latter, For me, when we talk about divestment personally, it's like none of this I relate to, considering I'm someone in my 20s. I'm obviously not someone with children, and I've never been with a Black man ever. I've never had a dream about a Black man. The closest to a Black man I've had a dream about were people who were Hispanic or Jewish. And that doesn't count as Black to a lot of people. When I say Hispanic, I mean like Mexican or like Puerto Rican, like maybe 10 to 20% Black at the most, but not. You get what I'm saying. Not an actual Black person who looks Black. But to me, I just don't really get like why people think like that divesters have to have been mammies. Like, some of us are really never attracted to actual black men, you know? Like, I don't get why people always think that we have to be attracted to actual black men at some point in our lives. I think it goes back to the idea that maybe they think that because we're black, we've been around black men to some extent, some regard. Um, but I can't really speak for someone who has been around black men in their lives. Because I do think, honestly, even in that case, wouldn't they be around more people of other races in that regard? So then they would probably be attracted to most of the people in their environment, which wouldn't be black people or black men. Going further.
And that's why we're so angry and we're so hateful, and we're trying to get other black women to divest and block their blessings with a possible good unicorn black man, even though they have yet to name one, right? These women, when you ask them, okay, well, can you name a good black man? They start going, they can't actually name one, but they claim that divested black women are out here trying to block your blessings and block you from meeting the unicorn good black man that's so-called.
No, I hear them name good black men sometimes. I just don't find them interesting still. Even if all black men were good black men, I wouldn't want one. And that's not blocking a blessing, honestly, because I mean, if they're not meant to be with you and they're not for you, then how is it blocking a blessing when they're not compatible with you? If you're not attracted to black men, you're just not attracted to black men. End of story.
That they can't name, right? So let me read this $10 super chat.
Guys, my dog just chewed up my girlfriend's favorite dress, and now she's upstairs screaming at me, telling me I have to get rid of the dog.
Real quick, and I'm also going to drop the link so you guys can start calling before I debunk this last and final point. This super chat is from Percy. Rent is too damn high. He sent $10, and he said, for the record, you may not have heard it, but black women do have the best PF. Oh my God. And may cross over to the other side sometimes, and it's hard for us to divest from y'all. Okay, I don't know where that myth is scientifically proven that black men have the best D's, the biggest D's. Last time I checked in the Guinness Book of World Records, the man with the biggest D was actually a white man. He was not a black man, right? From my personal experience, I don't think black men have the best D, but that's just a personal preference. I just don't think that these women that always tell black women, their audience, not to deify black men, not to go out here and praise black men, are constantly on their platform talking about how good black men's D are. Like, it just does not make sense to me. It's very contradictory. And then they'll turn around and accuse divested black women of deifying non-black men when that's what they do to black men in reality, right? So that's what doesn't make sense to me. Let me look at some of the comments. Black men worshippers, BS. We do know it. You swirl it.
Yeah, I don't get how that had to do with what we were just talking about. He mentioned something about black women have the best P. He's talking about what she was talking about with the WAP. So I don't understand why she just started mentioning black men or black men in her past or whatever, But yeah, anyway, going further.
Oh yeah, I need some pest control in my chats, I see. Let me drop the link real quick. So guys, I'm going to start spamming the chat with the link, and you guys can go ahead and call in. But yeah, so these women are actually saying that black women, divested black women, we're old, we're bitter, we're unattractive baby mamas who couldn't get black men, and now we're trying to block other black women from their blessings with black men. Number one, what blessings? Like, I really want to know, What blessings are divested Black women blocking? Are we blocking the blessings of you getting shot by a Black man, of your child getting touched by a Black man, right? Of a Black man bruising your eyes, being 30 to 50% more likely to put you in a DV situation? Like, what blessing exactly are divested Black women actually blocking when you can't even name one good Black male that we as Black women can look to and say, okay, this is an example of what a good Black man is supposed to be? These women can't even name it. They can't even.
They do name it, but I just think, to me, as a divester, I don't think that we should really encourage other people to not, or to not date Black men, or to not date white men. To me, I feel like that's a personal choice that people make on their own, really. The problem is with these mammies is this: they often don't know how to mind their own business. See, they don't realize that they claim that spoilers and divestors are the ones telling everyone to be with other races of men, but they're the main ones trying to say that they are the standard and that they should set the standard of being with Black men. And it's like, keep that to your personal life, lady. If you want to be with Black men, go be with Black men. If you want to search for a unicorn, go search for a unicorn. If your preference is Black men, then your preference is Black men. All you need to do is find the right one, And, I hear it's tedious to find, and honestly, I don't really know if it's tedious to find because I've never tried to make the search. But from what I hear from people from the other side of wanting Black men and stuff, they seem to act like they're frustrated and trying to find a good Black man. So, I mean, like, I think it's a good idea not to encourage other people to look for a good Black man too, if you feel like your resources are scarce. So, I mean, we're actually doing you a service by actually giving you less competition and giving you more men to choose from, you know.
Name it, but they claim that we're trying to block Black women's blessings by telling them not to deal with their attackers. That's number one. Number two, some of these platforms saying this are actually colorism platforms, which is so rich, because if you know anything about colorism platform, you know that BWE, the movement, we have been trying so hard to debunk the myth that dark-skinned Black women who complain about colorism, Black women who complain about featureism and texturism are just unattractive, and it's an ugly girl argument, right?
Honestly, with that whole argument, no, it's actually people like this honestly are shaming dark-skinned Black women who are beautiful, because they are automatically saying that their beauty is not going to count. People are still going to see their skin tone as unattractive, and they're going to be devalued because of their skin tone. And this is why a lot of dark-skinned Black women who are beautiful, who don't believe in colorism, or dark-skinned Black women who just have a self-esteem and love who they are, it doesn't even matter if they're pretty or not, for that matter. People who love their skin tone and understand that their dark skin is beautiful do not want to feed into the colorism narrative, because all it basically is saying is that people are going to see them negatively and devalue them because of their skin tone. It puts a bad image on people with dark skin. And I know this because my mother is dark skinned and she's beautiful, and she's always said that that kind of narrative puts a bad image on dark skin. That's how I know that that's not something to basically try and say, oh yeah, it does actually exist for dark-skinned Black people, because dark-skinned Black people with a self-esteem find this insulting.
About a year ago, when I first started my channel, was on the Jessica X platform. And I had a whole long debate with her because she was saying all this BS about dark-skinned Black women who have colorism platforms, and how pretty dark-skinned Black women don't complain about colorism, even though we have Kelly Rowland, right? We have Justine Skye. We have Asian Doll, even.
On YouTube, I remember Sydney Black was specifically actually speaking against colorism. So, I mean, like, there are some dark skinned black women who are actually beautiful who speak against it. There's this other girl who speaks against it too, Elizabeth Garton. She also speaks against it and calls colorism a scam. So, yeah, a lot of different black women who have a good self esteem on them being dark skinned and love their dark skin do not appreciate the idea of people trying to claim colorism as a thing and actually trying to devalue dark skin by saying that it's treated as if it's less in society.
So recently, I can't stand her, especially after the whole fresh and fit thing. I think she is still very beautiful. You have Gabrielle Union, you have Lupita Nyong'o, you have Jodie Turner, you have so many drop dead gorgeous black women, Ducky Thought, that have come out to complain about colorism. But these mammies, these Dusties, they still constantly say that colorism is an ugly girl argument. That is always constantly the trope. And us in the BWE movement, we've tried so hard to push back against that and say that no, colorism is not an ugly girl argument. It's not something that affects just ugly, dark-skinned black women. It affects really dark-skinned black women in general and black women.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't really think it affects dark-skinned black women in general. I think it affects dark-skinned women who have a low self-esteem on their dark skin. There's a difference, you know. And some of these women can be very beautiful, but it's just a matter of how they view their dark skin, because usually it's more internalized than anything. Also, as far as if it affects dark-skinned women in general, how can someone this color be telling dark-skinned black women what they experience in their lives? How can these type of women have the audacity to tell them how their skin tone is valued? How do they have the audacity to act like they're being treated better just for being lighter? That is disgusting to me. I don't like that. I really don't like that. And I say that as a person of the same complexion. I'm not going to overstep my boundaries and tell a dark-skinned black woman she's being treated less than me because she's dark. I am not going to tell a dark-skinned woman she's seen as less by society's standards because she's dark-skinned. Half the time, people confuse dark skin and light skin and brown skin black people for each other. So how can they see dark skinned black women less than if they can't even tell us apart? That's just a point I wanted to make there. Anyway, continuing.
Who have kinkier hairs, blacker features, so-called blacker features, and all that stuff. So we've been fighting so hard against that narrative just for these same black women that say that that's, manosphere talking points. Oh, that's this, that's that. All this stuff is not true. To hurl those same talking points at divested black women as soon as they get upset. Now, all of a sudden, we're all old, we're all bitter, we're all unattractive, we're all baby mamas. The same thing that the manosphere says about colorism platforms is now the same thing that some of these colorism platforms are saying about divested black women. And I just find that to be so rich. It's like,
yeah, that's a regular, normal thing, though. I've seen this from black women in general in regards to divesters. I don't really feel affected by it. I just am like, well, why are you? Well, it's like you guys, some of these people have like a script and they just read out the script to everyone and they don't even pay attention to who they're talking to. This is the same thing with how I was saying how dark-skinned black men were attacking dark-skinned black women on my channel for no reason. Like, they were directing it at me, and I was thinking, like, you're reading the script. You don't even pay attention to the fact that you are looking at someone. You are recognizing the person that is talking on the videos is not even dark skinned. Totally disrespecting themselves. But, what I mean by that is this is the same thing. These type of people, black women and black men, in these types of mindsets basically are reading a script. So they basically come up with the whole baby mama, undesirable, unattractive, overweight, old definition, run through and so forth. They use the same basic narrative basically to women who are, divested. They do this because, they don't know how to go after someone who doesn't fit that stereotype, and so they usually lose at their argument because they're directing that type of energy and that script at the wrong person.
Like the talking points that these women will demonize, these women will tell their supporters is lies, is BS, not to, talk about Leilana XXS. I see you back there. I'm about to add you in 1 second, sis. But that will tell their audience not to listen to its gaslighting tactics as soon as they want to come and disagree with a divested Black woman or disagree with another Black woman in the space. Those are the same exact talking points that they'll hurl at them. It's very hypocritical. It's quite rich. And I'm just not going to lie, I'm disappointed in these women for spreading these lies, these misconceptions about divested Black women and trying to prevent Black women from doing what's in their best interest. And that would be to get away from your attackers and divest, guys. Okay? So those are the criticisms. Those are my breakdowns of why I think that it's absolutely hypocritical for these women to be saying that. Now I'm going to open the lines to you guys, and you guys can call in and let me know if you actually agree with the criticisms or if you, like me, disagree with the criticisms and add on to what I said, okay? So let me read the super chat, and then we're going to add Leilana XXX to the line. So Percy, rent is too damn high, sent $5, and he said, you misread my chat. You said Black women have the best pee. Huh? I don't think I said that. I think I said that Black women said that Black men have the best D. But yes, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. We're gonna add Leilana XXX to the chat.
She still didn't get it. He's saying that Black women have the best pee. I think sometimes they have a hard time, some sectors like this have a hard time understanding when Black men talk about divesting. That's why I think she started thinking about Black women and she misread it because she thought that he was talking about Black women, talking about Black men, and he was actually talking about Black women having the best WAP, So to me, I just think that that's important because, when people are divested and they don't see the other side with Black men divesting and not even understanding that perspective or even really having any sense of support towards them, any sense of nonchalantness towards them, at least, you don't even acknowledge that they exist. That's concerning to me. I mean, if you're divested, how can you really be against someone else being divested, whether they're male or female? How can you not acknowledge that they exist if they're male or female, for that matter?
And let me put the link in the chat one more time.
I'm gonna have to finish this soon.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, Leilana. How are you?
Hi, I feel like I'm getting to meet you finally.
I know. I know. Guys, she actually has a YouTube channel. You guys should go check her out. I used to be obsessed with her growing up. Like, she is so funny, so beautiful. You guys, and her boyfriend is such a hunk. Like, you guys should definitely check her out. But yes,
thank you.
Yes, what would you like to add?
Oh, girl, how much time do you have? Cause
I have a lot of time.
I feel this, and honestly, first off, I just want to say I hope that you're feeling better. Like, I hope that your health gets better because I know how that goes. I dealt with COVID earlier this year too, and it was really rough. But second of all, this is a really touchy subject for me, and the video topic that you're making today actually was making me, like, literally I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, divestors get a lot of, how can I say it? we get the brunt of it all, I feel like. And I don't even know if I should call myself a divester or not. But I feel like most of us are minding our own business, like the true divestors. I feel like we are, like, for me, for example, I don't really upload anymore because I've been living my best life.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't want to be one of those people who brag, you know, because what works for me might not work for everyone else, but I'm the happiest I've ever been. So I've been going on trips, and I've been like, for those of y'all who still follow me, I'm into cosplaying and anime and all kinds of stuff. I barely even work. I'm very much so taken care of. Like, I can call my husband right now and say I need something, and he cash at me or get it delivered. So I feel like I'm very, like, in a good spot, as well as other divestors I know. I feel like there's very few who are true divestors that are doing what you're doing on here, actually speaking about like our plights and speaking about things from our perspective, because we're just happy. And I was actually talking to Woman's Sphere earlier on her channel. I'm off today. Finally, I'm catching everybody's lives. But she was mentioning how she did a how can I say it? She collaborated with a white man who had a channel, and there were all these black women flooding his channel and commenting and being like, "Oh, I'm having all these problems with black men, this and that." And she was saying that these women who were in there, like, blowing up these guys' comments and messages and emails, weren't even divestors. And I find that interesting because I feel like we're always blamed for those things, but we're not even participating in those spaces. Like, half the time, it's not even.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, let's be real. I mean, that whole sector with, like, women's sphere and everything, that's people who are involved with black men. But at the same time, those same people will try and act like they are a part of some sector that's related to divestors in one way or another, because black men in the manosphere especially will try to push these women into our sector and try and push them basically in the same category as us, even though they're not, because they are involved with black men. You know, they're still somehow pushed with us, you know, in a weird way. And I've said this over and over again, you know, trying to basically distinguish black women who are, you know, mammies and black women who are, you know, divested. And even there needs to be splitting up of swirlers, especially rainbow swirlers, from mammies and divestors for that matter. You know, there needs to be different sectors, and it be understood that these are different types, because so many times people focus too much on other types of women and try and say basically because they are complaining about black men, then they become divestors. Because they said something negative about a black man, then they're a divester, you know, when they're not. And many of the time they say it just for attention from black men because they're that desperate.
Us. And it's so easy for some of these to be like, oh, well, they're just divester if they say they like white men. A lot of these are, I'm not even going to say just white, but non-black men. And a lot of these women who are commenting and harassing some of these people have and will never date out. Like, they have never dated out, and they probably won't. And like you're saying, they're probably still messing with black men. And is that really a divester if they are? Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. One of the content creators that was calling out divestors actually said that she was being threatened by divestors, and she saw divestors in the comments saying, "Oh, I'm gonna get my black male cousin."
Yeah, they don't understand, obviously, you know. A lot of those people also who acclaim divestment to some extent, they don't even understand, like, how interracial relationships work. It's like they've never done it and they've never dated outside of their race. I remember watching a video from Lifestyle with Danielle, and she was talking about how you can tell certain divestors really don't know anything about interracial dating. And that's how you know those people aren't really divested, that they aren't really into actually interracially dating. They just do it for money, for attention, and they just talk about it for attention, basically, and financial gain.
Get Pookie and Ray Ray to F you up. If a divester is talking about some she's gonna get her black male cousin or a Pookie and Ray Ray to mess you up, she is not divested, okay? She's a fake divester. She's claiming to be divested, but she is in fact a mammy. So for you guys to actually put that on actual divested black women is sad. It's like, mammies who claim to be woke, and when they spew out their rhetoric, it's like me trying to put that on, level up movements or channels focused on exposing black male pathologies. I wouldn't put that on y'all because I understand that those women aren't actually part of you guys. But when it comes to divestors, we don't get that same courtesy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I guess to sum up what I'm saying is I feel like there's a lot of women out here like in a divestment costume parading around like they're us. And meanwhile, we're just out here doing our thing, living our best.
Yeah, they're in that costume so then they can get some financial gain out of it. So then they can get attention, basically. That's why you don't see them do it, half step it. They never half step. They only do it in a way to get someone's attention, and basically to be provocative.
Live talking about things that really like affect us, and we're getting blamed for all these things. That's why I said earlier we're being used as fodder. And for those of you guys who don't know what that means, it's like when you have maybe like a sacrificial lamb, something you can use to trap or bait something else, and it's just like we have to kind of be the ones who are slain and lay down our lives. Meanwhile, we're not like, these same women are like, oh, go divest, go.
They're doing that for attention. It's just basically to blackmail black men to basically do right, supposedly in quotes, and basically to get the attention of black men. So it's not for divestment, it's for basically trying to get black men in line with whatever they want from black men.
Divest. And that's another one of my pet peeves, and another reason why I thought about making a resurgence on YouTube, because all these women are like handing out these pamphlets of divestment, but there's nothing in it. They don't tell you how it works, what the ins and outs are. And maybe that's just a black woman thing where we're just, chilling in we're in our space, we're in our zone, we're happy, so we feel like we don't have to, unlike some of the black men, we don't have to come on here and shove it in people's faces. But at the same time, like, they're not even explaining the insides of that. Like, they're not going any deeper, they're just saying it. And I feel like there should be more to that than just being like, oh, go divest, but I wouldn't. Oh, I'm only going to sleep with black men. I'm only going to, and it's just like, that's an interesting, how can I say, that's an interesting thing to.
Yeah, and also it's like, okay, go divest, but you're not even giving like advice to anyone on divesting or anything of that nature. One, because you don't know how to, because you have no interest in doing it, and two, because it's not a real thing to them. It's not really that they want anyone to divest, unless it's for maybe a lack of competition slightly, but still, that's not even it. They still feel insecure when other women basically interracially date and choose other men because, like I said, they feel insecure about it. So that's why they would still never really give any information or the ins and outs or advice on interracial dating because, that actually makes them feel insecure, which is why they bash divesters every other day. They're not talking about black men.
To put out their interesting rhetoric, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. So Leilana, I'm gonna add Joe, or I think it's Jay. Oh God, I hope this is not a Dusty. I'm gonna add Jay. Jay to the chat. Feel free to stay on.
Okay.
If you would like.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Jay. Welcome to the stream. Are you Dusty?
No.
Awesome. Okay. Hi. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm sorry, I just woke up. That's probably why my voice is so deep.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, what would you like to add to the conversation?
I wanted to say that it's actually funny. The woman who you're talking about right now, I know exactly who you're talking about, who made the video calling divesters a hate group and that we're too extreme. We call black men nakers. I actually have a screenshot of her from maybe like a couple months ago in her comment section. Literally, when she was defending herself when she was dating a white dude, literally in her comment section saying that black men are the only group of men that oppress black women. So black men are oppressing black women. Why should we, not hate them or why?
Yeah, she claims that, but I think she just feels like that's too extreme to call black men the N-word, which I mean, like, I choose not to use that word either. When it comes to this, I think with her, the person we're talking about, she is clearly someone who is she's the type who is not really a mammy. She's not really a divester, obviously. She's a rainbow swirler. So her perspective is going to be very different. Like, she obviously gets attacked for, dating white men, but at the same time, she might get attacked at the same time for dating a black man, too. So it's kind of like, her type have a hard time fitting anywhere because she can get criticism from both sides. From my perspective, I was a moderator for a channel that's really big on rainbow swirling and all that stuff. So to me, I mean, like, I don't judge people no matter which side they come from or if they are a rainbow swirler or whatever's going on. To me, that's a personal choice. But people who tell her what to do, she's got mammies telling her what to do, and then she's got divesters telling her what to do. So she has to have a perspective of defending herself from both sides, to be honest. So that's all I have to say in this. I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna end this video. But yeah, I like this live stream of Chris Logic's actually. I haven't watched the whole thing. I'm gonna watch the whole thing. Maybe I'll add some more commentary later on, but that's all I have for right now. Like and subscribe, everybody, and comment down below what you think. Bye.